On the surface, Clear Lake looks like a peaceful getaway in Northern California. But hidden beneath its waters is a vast magma chamber scientists have just classified as a high threat. Only 89 miles from San Francisco, this dormant volcano system hasn't erupted in 10,000 years. Yet experts now warn that Mount Konocti is far from extinct. Over 17,000 people live atop this sleeping giant. And new evidence suggests it's waking up. How could so many miss the danger below? Highway 29 cuts through the heart of Lake County, winding past vineyards and oak woodlands before skirting the edge of Clear Lake. Here, the land rises sharply, an unmistakable silhouette dominating the horizon. Mount Konocti stands at 4,305 feet above sea level, its broad slopes crowned by a cluster of ancient domes and rugged ridges. From the lakeshore, the summit looms more than 3,000 feet overhead, visible from nearly every direction. On a clear day, the mountain's profile is the first thing drivers notice as they leave the Bay Area behind. The straight-line distance from San Francisco to Mount Konocti is about 90 miles, closer than most people realize. For many, this region is a place to fish, camp, or hike. But for those who live and work here, the volcano is part of daily life. A state park ranger unlocks the gate at dawn, the keys jangling as she prepares for another day of visitors. Her office sits in the shadow of the mountain, just steps from the trailhead where hikers set out for the summit. She's walked these paths for years, watching the weather shift and the light change across the volcanic ridges. The ranger knows every switchback, every outcrop of black volcanic rock. And every story locals tell about the mountain's moods, how it seems to catch clouds, how its slopes shelter rare wildflowers, how it stands as a silent guardian over the lake. She points out that the peak isn't just a backdrop for postcards or family photos. It's a living landmark, shaped by forces few people ever see. Maps of the area reveal the true scale of the Clear Lake volcanic field. Mount Konocti is just one feature in a sprawling complex of domes and cones that stretch across Lake County. The mountain's summit, at 4,305 feet, is not the highest in the region, but it's the most prominent, rising abruptly from the lakeshore and anchoring the landscape. Its slopes are scored by deep ravines and dotted with vents from ancient eruptions, reminders that the ground here is anything but ordinary. Despite its peaceful appearance, Mount Konocti's presence is a constant reminder of the region's volcanic roots. The ranger explains that the trails cross old lava flows, pass steam vents, and wind through forests that have grown up on volcanic soil. For residents and visitors alike, daily routines unfold in the shadow of a volcano that scientists now rank among California's most closely watched. The mountain's proximity to the Bay Area, its commanding height, and its unmistakable outline make it more than just a scenic backdrop. It's a geographic anchor for everything that happens here. Beneath the calm waters of Clear Lake and the wooded slopes of Mount Konocti, the land bears scars that stretch back thousands of years. The story of this volcanic field is written in layers of ash, cinder, and glassy black obsidian. Evidence of eruptions that transformed the landscape and shaped the lives of those who called it home. Along the southern and eastern shores, shallow depressions known as maar craters mark the sites of ancient explosions where magma met groundwater in violent bursts. These craters, some now filled with water or hidden by reeds, are among the most visible reminders of the last major eruption, which geologists date to roughly 10,000 or 11,000 years ago. Long before the arrival of highways or park boundaries, the Big Valley Band of Pomo Indians built their lives in the shadow of this restless ground. Archaeological digs reveal a continuous human presence stretching back to the waning days of the last eruption, with obsidian artifacts unearthed at campsites and trading grounds across Lake County. The volcanic glass, prized for its sharp edges and deep sheen, became the region's most valuable export. Obsidian from Clear Lake traveled far, Tools and arrowheads bearing its unique geochemical fingerprint have surfaced at sites as distant as the Bay Area and the Sacramento Valley. These artifacts trace a web of trade routes that once linked the volcanic field to communities hundreds of kilometers away. Yet for the Pomo, Mount Konocti was never just a source of stone. Oral tradition and early ethnographic records describe the mountain as powerful and unpredictable, a place to be respected and sometimes avoided. Stories handed down through generations speak of the Mountain Lady, the literal meaning of Konocti in the Pomo language, and of spiritual forces that dwell within its slopes. Elders recall warnings against climbing too high or lingering near steaming vents, lessons that may echo an ancient awareness of the land's volatility. While no direct memory of eruptions survives in modern storytelling, themes of fire, smoke, and caution run through the myths and songs that connect people to this landscape. Obsidian workshops and seasonal camps clustered along the lower flanks and lakeshore, but the summit and inner domes were approached with care, if at all. Archaeologists note a pattern. While the mountain's resources drew people close, its heart remained sacred ground. Even today, members of the Big Valley Band describe Mount Konocti as a living presence, central to ceremony, identity, and the rhythms of daily life. The scars left by ancient eruptions are more than geological curiosities. They are woven into the memory of the land and the people who have adapted to its cycles of destruction and renewal. These layers of ash and story, obsidian and reverence, remind everyone living here that the quiet slopes above Clear Lake have not always been at rest. The evidence of prehistoric fire is never far from view, urging both scientists and residents to remain vigilant. In a region shaped by eruptions, memory and caution go hand in hand, linking the distant past to the concerns of the present. Deep beneath the rolling hills and quiet surface of Clear Lake, a hidden engine keeps working. Scientists have mapped a vast magma chamber stretching nearly 14 kilometers wide, sitting about 7 kilometers below ground. The heat from this ancient reservoir is anything but theoretical. It powers the geysers, the largest complex of geothermal power plants on Earth. Here, more than a dozen facilities tap into superheated steam rising from fractured volcanic rock, turning it into about 2,000 megawatts, enough to supply roughly 60% of the electricity for California's north coast. Every time a turbine spins, it draws on energy that started as molten rock far underground. Well logs from the geysers reveal temperatures that climb past 400 degrees Fahrenheit just a few thousand feet down. The rock is so hot and permeable that water injected into deep wells flashes instantly to steam, racing upward to drive the generators. These readings match what seismic imaging and gravity surveys have shown: a shallow, silicic magma body, alive with heat and connected to a deeper mafic reservoir. Tomography scans trace vertical pathways where melt pulses upward from the lower crust, sometimes stalling, sometimes surging, always keeping the system primed. Petrological studies confirm that this cycle has continued for nearly 1 million years, with new magma recharging the chamber in fits and starts. The geysers is not just a scientific outpost or a feat of engineering. It's a living laboratory where every pressure gauge and temperature sensor offers a direct line to the volcanic system below. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, earthquake swarms rattled the area, a reminder that extracting geothermal energy can disturb the delicate balance underground. These swarms, some numbering in the hundreds, raised concerns among both scientists and local residents. Could drawing steam from the Earth trigger unrest in the magma chamber? While most experts agree the risk is low, the swarms prove that the ground here is never fully at rest. Geophysical surveys continue to refine the picture. Seismic tomography outlines the shape of the reservoirs, while gravity and magnetotelluric data fill in the details about melt fraction and connectivity. The best constrained features are just beneath the geysers, where dense networks of wells and sensors offer a rare window into the heart of a living volcanic system. Yet uncertainty remains. The deepest anomaly, centered to the east and less clearly imaged, still holds secrets about how magma rises and where it might break through next. Scientists recommend expanding seismic and resistivity arrays, especially east and southeast of Clear Lake, to catch subtle signals of change. For now, the evidence is clear. The volcanic field is not extinct. Its heat powers homes and businesses across the region, and its restless subsurface continues to draw the attention of geologists and hazard planners. Every megawatt generated at the geysers is a reminder that the forces shaping Mount Konocti are still very much alive, hidden just out of sight but impossible to ignore. Along the southern shore of Clear Lake, neighborhoods and small towns have grown up in the shadow of Mount Konocti. More than 17,000 people call this volcanic field home, living in communities like Kelseyville, Clear Lake, and Lower Lake. Their houses line the lake's edge and climb the lower slopes tucked among vineyards and oaks. On any given day, children head to school, workers commute along Highway 29, and families gather at the marina or local parks. The rhythms of life here seem ordinary, but the ground beneath their feet is anything but. Every year, over 70,000 visitors arrive to camp, fish, and hike in the state park. Summer weekends bring boaters to the lake and fill the campgrounds. The marina owner unlocks the dock gates at sunrise, greeting out-of-towners and regulars alike. For local businesses, tourism is essential. Cafes, tackle shops, and rental cabins depend on the steady flow of people drawn by the region's beauty and calm. Yet the same features that make Lake County an escape for city dwellers also place thousands at risk. 25 million vehicles cross the volcanic field each year, carried by arteries like Highway 29 and State Route 20. These roads cut through valleys and skirt the lake, but they also form the primary evacuation routes in an emergency. The county's emergency manager points out that a single blockage caused by a landslide, lahar, or even traffic jam could trap entire neighborhoods. The terrain offers few alternatives. Steep slopes, narrow canyons, and the lake itself hem in the main roads, making rapid escape a challenge. Critical infrastructure sits well within the volcanic hazard zone. 24 essential facilities, including schools, fire stations, and the regional hospital, lie inside the field's footprint. In the event of an eruption, these sites would face not just physical danger from ash, heat, or mud flows, but also the logistical nightmare of evacuating vulnerable residents. Emergency planners have mapped out shelters and routes, but drills reveal persistent concerns: limited hospital beds, language barriers and warning systems, and the sheer speed at which volcanic hazards can unfold. For many residents, the volcano is an afterthought, something discussed in science class or mentioned in real estate paperwork, if at all. But the question of risk disclosure has sparked controversy. Some property buyers have filed complaints, claiming they were never told about the high threat designation or the history of eruptions. Lawsuits in the last decade forced changes to California's natural hazard disclosure forms. Now, sellers must explicitly mention volcanic risk in Lake County transactions. Still, debates continue over how much warning is enough and whether the label high threat truly captures the day-to-day reality for people living here. Local officials walk a careful line. They want to avoid panic, but they also recognize the responsibility to inform. Community meetings sometimes turn tense as residents press for clearer answers. The marina owner remembers the first time he heard about the magma chamber below. He thought it was a rumor, until he saw the USGS map himself. Now he keeps an eye on the news, quietly hoping the next seismic bulletin is just another routine update. The numbers are stark, but the reality is personal. For every statistic, there is a family, a business, a school, or a hospital that would be directly affected if the volcano stirs again. The risk is not just theoretical, It is woven into the daily lives of thousands, shaping decisions in ways most never imagined. When magma rises toward the surface, the hazards are both immediate and far-reaching. The most dangerous are pyroclastic flows, avalanches of superheated ash, rock, and gas that can travel faster than a car on the highway. Scientists modeling these events at Clear Lake project temperatures soaring above 1,500 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to incinerate forests and vaporize anything in the direct path. Unlike slow-moving lava, these flows hug the ground, rushing down valleys and across lowlands with little warning, leaving behind a sterile, ashen landscape. Lava flows present a different threat. While generally slower, they can bury roads, cut off escape routes, and ignite anything flammable in their path. The composition of the magma beneath Mount Konocti means that most future flows would be thick and sticky, piling up near the source, but still posing a deadly risk to anything nearby. Historical deposits show that lava has poured out of vents around the mountain, solidifying into the black ridges and domes that shape the land today. Volcanic bombs, chunks of molten rock blasted into the sky, can land as far as 6 miles from their source. Each weighs hundreds of pounds, and their impact can destroy structures or spark fires far from the eruption site. In the worst-case scenario, lahars, volcanic mudflows, could race down channels and creek beds, mixing ash, debris, and water into a fast-moving slurry, capable of swallowing buildings and bridges. Run-out models indicate that these flows can reach populated areas in minutes, guided by the contours of the land and the network of streams feeding into Clear Lake. Every hazard is mapped and quantified, but no simulation can fully capture the chaos of an eruption in real time. The science is clear. In a region as densely settled and interconnected as Lake County, the physical impact of an awakening volcano would be swift, unpredictable, and potentially catastrophic. Around the clock, a network of sensors keeps watch over the Clear Lake volcanic field. Seismic stations dot the landscape, listening for the faintest tremors deep underground. Sensitive gas monitors check for changes in volcanic emissions, while satellite feeds scan for even the slightest ground movement. At the California Volcano Observatory, scientists review these streams of data in real time, searching for patterns that might signal trouble. Every day, automated alerts filter through the system, flagging anything out of the ordinary for closer inspection. Emergency managers in Lake County meet regularly with CalVO staff, reviewing hazard maps and evacuation plans. They know that the region's steep terrain and limited road network pose serious challenges. Simulations show that a single blocked highway could strand entire neighborhoods, especially during summer when visitor numbers peak. Drills have tested warning systems and shelter protocols, but gaps remain. Language barriers, hospital surge capacity, and the sheer volume of traffic that would pour onto narrow roads if an evacuation were ordered. Despite these hurdles, local officials stress the importance of readiness. Public information campaigns encourage residents to learn evacuation routes and sign up for emergency alerts. Schools and critical facilities have response plans tailored to volcanic hazards. The goal is to stay one step ahead, even as scientists acknowledge that some scenarios would unfold too quickly for warning to reach everyone in time. The commitment to vigilance is clear. As long as magma simmers below Mount Konocti, the watch continues, quiet, constant, and determined to give Lake County its best chance at safety. Nearly 25 million vehicles cross the Clear Lake volcanic field every year, yet few realize they are traveling over one of California's highest threat volcanic systems. As the documentary has shown, Mount Konocti and its surrounding domes are not extinct. Scientific evidence confirms an active magma chamber beneath the region, and the geysers geothermal plant taps directly into this underground heat, supplying 60% of North Coast electricity. Despite the last major eruption occurring just 10,000 years ago, which geologists consider recent, the exact timing of any future eruption remains unknown. Over 17,000 residents and thousands of annual visitors live and work within the volcanic field's footprint. USGS experts continue 24/7 monitoring, but the challenge of forecasting eruptions persists. The facts are clear. The Clear Lake volcanic field is not a relic of the past, but an active system requiring vigilance and preparedness. It stands as a reminder that even California's quiet landscapes can hold hidden risks, revealed only through science and ongoing observation.